This intro's for Bradley B.
That looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people hitchhike. Seems like a good way to get from one place to another. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly. One never knows when the homosexual is about. Let's take the case of Jimmy Barnes. Jimmy played baseball all afternoon, and he didn't feel like walking home, so he decided to thumb a ride. He'd done it 100 times before, and he didn't think anything was unusual when the driver struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick, a sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly, if they try to win your confidence too quickly, and if they become overly personal. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal.
May appear normal. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, guys and gals.
Don't you love old advertisements?
Oh, yeah.
They're so great. But no, that was a public service announcement, ex-comer. Don't get in cars with homosexuals.
Yes, and be careful because they're nice people.
They are. Very nice.
Yeah.
So we're back. Well, I'm back. Took 2 days off. It was good to kind of recharge. But apparently Michigan wants to be 12 degrees one day and then 63 the next day. So there's all kinds of fucky with my voice, but we'll make it work.
I've lost a bit of my voice too, so don't worry. We can squeak together.
It feels funny. Like I don't know how terrible it sounds, but it feels weird. But yeah, so we're going to get into Bill Cooper and the assassination of Kennedy.
I'm glad for you, Bobby. Sorry.
No, you're good. This one's super interesting. And I don't know, maybe we'll start with that. So I found this the other day, and that was kind of what solidified it for me. And this is fuck it. We'll start with this, and then we'll go from there. But let's say hello to everybody, and we'll get right into it. I hope everybody had an awesome Christmas, and good to see everybody back. Digger, hello.
Hello.
Bad Dazza, hey, mate. I did see that, Dazzer. Yeah, they're escalating it hard. So, Comer, are you a nice person? Are you very friendly?
I have found him to be rather friendly.
I'm just saying, maybe. Jason, what's up, buddy?
Most of those ads did fail.
Define failed. Hey, Bobby. Bobby's another very nice person. What's up, Alex? North Korean friend. Kim Jong says hi. So it is confirmed. Comer is from North Korea. I knew it.
Yeah.
What's up, Alexander? Yeah, he tries to say he's Swedish. I never bought it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they are friendly people, I hear. So, I know this kind of throws us for a loop, but I want to start off with this. This was Tucker. This is an older clip from his Fox News show, but it's relating it to Biden, and then we'll go back and forth and around. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting place to start, and then we'll get into the Bill Cooper stuff. But have you seen this one yet?
No, I've stayed off of internet for 2 days.
Oh, okay.
I went for a walk with Shenny. That's it.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
So this one's a while back. I think it was last January. Yeah, January 19th. But it's coming back up, and it's kind of relevant to today's topic. So
if you want to understand, if you really want to understand how the American government actually works at the highest levels, and if you want to know why they don't teach history anymore, one thing you should know is that the most popular president in American history was Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon.
Tricky Dick.
Yet somehow, without a single vote being cast by a single American voter, Richard Nixon was kicked out of office and replaced by the only unelected president in American history. So we went from the most popular president to a president nobody voted for. Wait a minute, you may ask. Why didn't I know that? Wasn't Richard Nixon a criminal? Wasn't he despised by all decent people? No, he wasn't. In fact, if any president could claim to be the people's choice, it was Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was reelected in 1972 by the largest margin of the popular vote ever recorded before or since. Nixon got 17 million more votes than his opponent. Less than 2 years later, he was gone. He was forced to resign. And in his place, an obedient servant of the federal agencies called Gerald Ford took over the White House. How did that happen? Well, it's a long story, but here are the highlights, and they tell you a lot. Richard Nixon believed that elements in the federal bureaucracy were working to undermine the American system of government and had been doing that for a long time. He often said that. He was absolutely right. On June 23, 1972, Nixon met with the then CIA director Richard Helms at the White House. During the conversation, which thankfully was tape recorded, Nixon suggested he knew, quote, who shot John, meaning President John F. Kennedy. Nixon further implied that the CIA was directly involved in Kennedy's assassination, which we now know it was. Helms's telling response? Total silence. But for Nixon, it didn't matter because it was already over. 4 days before, on June 19th, the Washington Post had published the first of many stories about a break-in at the Watergate office building. Unbeknownst to Nixon and unreported by the Washington Post, 4 of the 5 burglars worked for the CIA. The first of many dishonest Watergate stories was written by a 29-year-old Metro reporter called Bob Woodward. Who exactly was Bob Woodward? Well, he wasn't a journalist. Bob Woodward had no background whatsoever in the news business. Instead, Bob Woodward came directly from the classified areas of the federal government. Shortly before Watergate, Woodward was a naval officer at the Pentagon. He had a top secret clearance. He worked regularly with the intel agencies. At times, Woodward was even detailed to the Nixon White House, where he interacted with Richard Nixon's top aides. Soon after leaving the Navy, for reasons that have never been clear, Woodward was hired by the most powerful news outlet in Washington and assigned the biggest story in the country. And just to make it crystal clear what was actually happening, Woodward's main source for his Watergate series was the deputy director of the FBI, Mark Felt. And Mark Felt ran, and we're not making this up, the FBI's COINTELPRO program, which was designed to secretly discredit political actors the federal agencies wanted to destroy, people like Richard Nixon. And at the same time, those same agencies were also working to take down Nixon's elected vice president, Spiro Agnew. In the fall of 1973, Agnew was indicted for tax evasion and forced to resign. His replacement was a colorless congressman from Grand Rapids called Gerald Ford. What was Ford's qualification for the job? Well, he had served on the Warren Commission, which absolved the CIA of responsibility for President Kennedy's murder. Nixon was strong-armed into accepting Gerald Ford by Democrats in Congress. Quote, "We gave Nixon no choice but Ford," Speaker of the House Carl Albert later boasted. 8 months later, Gerald Ford of the Warren Commission was the president of the United States. See how that works? So those are the facts, not speculation. All of that actually happened. None of it's secret. Most of it actually is on Wikipedia. But no mainstream news organization has ever told that story. It's so obvious, yet it's intentionally ignored. And as a result, permanent Washington remains in charge of our political system. Unelected lifers in the federal agencies make the biggest decisions in American government and crush anyone who tries to rein them in. And in the process, our democracy becomes a joke. Now, you may have noticed that the very first person in the Trump administration the agencies went after was General Michael Flynn. Why Flynn? because Mike Flynn was a career Army intel officer who ran the Defense Intelligence Agency. In other words, Mike Flynn knew exactly how the system worked, and as a result, he was capable of fighting back. 4 days after Donald Trump's inauguration, the FBI lured Mike Flynn into a meeting without his lawyer, concocted a series of fake crimes, and forced him to resign. So that's how things actually work in Washington. Let's stop lying about it. Joe Biden, meanwhile, whooped like a hyena when the Justice Department destroyed Mike Flynn. So there is, we have to say, a certain perverse justice in watching something very similar happen to Joe Biden himself 6 years later. Joe Biden does not deserve our sympathy. He's being shafted, but don't weep for him. And yet the rest of us do deserve a better system, an actual democracy. When people nobody voted for run everything, you are not living.
So, all that to say that our political system and our political class has been ruled ever since the assassination of JFK by the deep state, by these unelected bureaucrats, and it's been handpicked, and it's been who they wanted. I think one person put a disruption in that system, and we see what's happened to him since. So that's just to tie it in and to tie those 50 years in, where America really hasn't been America. So with that, we're going to go back in time, start of the whole downfall, which is where we get into Bill Cooper and JFK. Do you want to? You said you wanted to start with the shooting.
Yeah, we might as well. Let's get the video first, so that you guys can think on it while we listen to the radio program.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
Oh yeah. And we'll learn more about that as we go. If anything happens, if we get kicked from ScrewTube, the link for Rumble is pinned in the comments. Because
just in case.
This is one of those things that they don't like people talking about or waking up to. So of course they're gonna come down hard on it, but I'm over it. Fuck YouTube. Anyways, and of course we're just talking out our ass. We're jokes and entertainment. Don't, do your own research, blah blah blah. So but viewer discretion is advised on this clip because it is graphic. So just keep that in mind. So.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
It's more for YouTube, but
its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
And so they ordered his execution. It was actually ordered by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group in The Hague in Geneva, Switzerland, and was carried out by agents of the secret government in Dallas. The man who actually administered the coup de grace was the driver of the car, William Greer. We have a film in beautiful living color that you can actually see with your own eyes William Greer turn with an assassination pistol in his left hand and shoot the president point blank in the head over his right shoulder. It's incredible. It's been hidden from the public for all these years. But the same film has been shown on television for all these years, but they've always zoomed right in on Kennedy and cut the driver out, so you can never see it. It's the Zapruder film. It was never shown to the Warren Commission. They never saw it.
They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting puppets. More and more people are becoming poor.
There's also for anybody who subscribes to the Mandela effect, supposedly there's a video, the original video, and they had 2 seats, and this one has
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They had a whole extra bench that just kind of appeared and disappeared.
right. So is that our government playing bullshit, or is that an actual Mandela? Is that, I mean, what? There's a lot of question to it. I think this is absolutely fascinating because
Mhm.
the only story that doesn't make sense is the official story. The official story
Exactly.
that, this random guy climbed into a clock tower and hit him in a moving car. Like,
Yeah.
I, there's the magic bullet theory, the blah blah blah.
Ugh.
I mean,
There's so many. There's the new
Right.
dude that just came out and said, "Oh, I know the truth." So
Yeah. Right.
Like,
So I don't know. This has always been a fascination because
ooh,
we absolutely, without a doubt, know that our government is crooked and terrible.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know.
I just got an emergency DM. I sent you a link. We should watch this 10-minute clip first.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It describes the JFK sacrifice by the Masons. So it's showing the symbology around the event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Did I
So,
hit send? I did. Okay, good.
I think so. Is this the right one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So there's an interesting dynamic with what happens to President Trump coming up. I don't think that he ever makes it back into office at all.
Me either.
So I think it's an interesting parallel. HR was a perfect patsy, commie loser, returning to the U.S. after finding out firsthand that communism blows expendable. Yeah. And of course, they don't care about the people that they're going to put up to do terrible things. They don't care that your name goes down in history as the worst. They'll use anybody to their ends, and it's one thing we need to watch out for because the government's becoming more and more powerful and more scary. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you're not aware, you can't avoid.
Right. So, all right, we'll start with this one. So.
Dallas, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, is on the 33rd parallel, or the 33rd degree of latitude. This is significant, as the highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is the 32nd degree. The 33rd degree is only awarded to those who contribute significantly to the furtherance of the plan or the completion of the great work. The great work being the bringing into the world of the New World Order, the one world totalitarian socialist government, ruled by illumined man, and the number of that man is 666. This is Dealey Plaza, and the occult symbolism in Dealey Plaza is overwhelming for those who understand it, who have studied it, who can recognize it. The first thing you will notice is that Dealey Plaza is in the shape of a truncated pyramid. The top is cut off by the railroad overpass. In other words, the pyramid has no capstone. You'll also notice that the large pyramid of Dealey Plaza is divided into two smaller pyramids by Main Street running through the center of Dealey Plaza, making 3 total triangles or pyramids, with the 3 eyes of the pyramid being the 3 underpasses underneath the railroad overpass. So you will notice that there are 3 pyramids and 3 eyes in the pyramids. 3 and 3 are 6 for the first 6. The second thing that you will notice are that there are 4 quarters of a Druid or Celtic temple of the sun, an exact twin of the Temple of the Sun, making up the outer courtyard of the Vatican. 1 quarter of the temple, representing one of the seasons of the year, is on the grassy knoll. The second, representing another season of the year, is just a little to the right of the center of the screen. Another one is just above Kennedy's head in the portrait in the right lower corner of your screen. The fourth is off the screen and is just below Kennedy's portrait on the knoll, directly opposite the grassy knoll, which is so famous in the Kennedy assassination lore. This is significant as it indicates a branch of the mystery school of Mystery Babylon who worshipped the sun, or the god that is represented by the sun, which in all cases turns out to be the light or Lucifer, also known as Osiris or Ra. In all actuality, these are just symbols for the intellect. They believe that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust vindictive.
Hang on real quick. So Osiris or Osiris Rex, the mission is now the mission that's been appropriated for Apophis, which they're now saying is going to hit Earth again.
Okay. So that's what they're calling the one that's going to take out the asteroid.
It started as Osiris Rex, and then it's changed to shit. I forget what it is now, but yeah, now Apophis is going to hit again. I don't know. It looks convincing in some aspects, and others, it's orbital mechanics. It's hard to predict, but
yeah.
Apophis is an interesting one. So, 1 year left to live. Why? It's 29. It's 5 years, 5.5. As Captain Kirk said, rule number 1 of assassination: kill the assassin.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein was very close to his second wife, genetically speaking. There's nothing wrong with kissing cousins.
Fair enough.
I mean, whatever.
I honestly, I did not know that about Einstein's second wife. I did not know that. So
I knew he was. I knew he was rather close, but I don't actually know how close he was. But yeah, they were not. It was definitely the same tree. Say that much. So.
Okay.
All right, but we'll keep going.
Even very cruel God in the chains, the bonds of ignorance, and that man was set free by Lucifer through his agent Satan with the gift of intellect, and through the use of the intellect, man himself will become God. Now, if you look at the quarter section of the Temple of the Sun, just to the right of the center of the screen, you will see just to the right of it an obelisk. The obelisk is the symbol of the phallus, the missing part of Osiris, the penis, the lost word of Freemasonry. And you will see that it almost points directly in to the parking garage opening where Lee Harvey Oswald was himself assassinated. Now, we already have 1/6 symbolized by the 3 triangles and the 3 eyes in the 3 triangles. The second 6 is symbolized by the 6th floor window where supposedly Lee Harvey Oswald fired the fatal 3 shots. In reality, he was not even up there, and you will see that later on in this documentary. But now we have 2 6s. What is the third 6? We have 3 shots and 3 wounds. 3 and 3 are 6. So now we have the 666, which is significant. It is the number of a man. And what is that man? It is the illumined man. It is the man who will rule the world in the New World Order. It is those who call themselves the guardians of the secrets of the ages, the initiates, the adepts, the priests of the mystery school of the ancient religion of Babylon. Now, also significant in this study of Dealey Plaza is the fact that Kennedy was killed on November the 22nd, 1963. November is the 11th month. Add 11 to 22, and again you have 33. The meritorious degree awarded only to those who do something significant toward the furtherance of the plan or the completion of the great work.
What's
Now,
up,
you
Jacob?
should understand that John F. Kennedy was murdered on the anniversary date of Pope Clement V's papal bull condemning the Knights Templar to torture by the Dominican monks under the Inquisition. The exact anniversary date. For you see, the papal bull was issued on November the 22nd in the year 1307. Now, if you subtract the year 1307 from 1963, the answer you get is 666. And folks, that is no accident. You figure it out. Now, there is much, much more of the occult significance connected with Dealey Plaza here, but I'm not going to go into it. I'll leave that for you to explore and discover for yourself. For when you find out that the Knights of Malta, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Ancient Order of the Rose and Cross, are all different branches of the Knights Templar, then you will understand that John F. Kennedy was assassinated in an outdoor temple of the sun by the Knights Templar in a combination probably of initiates or adepts or priests of the Babylonian mystery school from all of the different branches now controlled by the Knights Templar. At the time of day, when the sun is most high, and in the ancient religion, it was said that when the sun was most high, he was doing his father's work in the temple. The temple being Dealey Plaza, his father's work was the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, John F. Kennedy suffered 3 wounds, one in the back, one in the throat, one in the head, the exact same wounds suffered by Hiram Abiff in the Masonic initiation. Hiram Abiff in the Masonic initiation has nothing to do with the master builder of the Temple of Solomon in actual history. But Hiram Abiff is the representation of Jacques de Molay, who was burned at the stake by the Pope and Philip V, and he was the Grand Master of the Knights Templar. The 3 wounds suffered by Hiram Abiff in the Masonic initiation, and in reality by Jacques de Molay, represent ignorance, superstition, and fear, which are symbolic of the church, the state, and the mob. The mob, of course, is us. What happened in Dealey Plaza was the carrying out of the revenge of the Knights Templar upon the church, the state, and the mob. John F. Kennedy is the first and only Catholic president in this country, a country established and ruled by the Knights Templar in the personification or in the publicly known branch of Mystery Babylon, called Freemasonry. John F. Kennedy was murdered in Dealey Plaza by the mystery religion of Babylon, most likely carried out by members of the intelligence community who belong to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Knights of Malta, the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Ancient Order of the Rose and Cross, and the Mormon Church. The Mormon Church, ladies and gentlemen, is just another branch of Mystery Babylon, another branch of Freemasonry, and that is historical fact. The intelligence community of the United States of America was set up by a 33rd degree Freemason named Harry Truman, who took his advice from Bill
We're
Donovan,
echoing.
who was the head of the OSS, which was made up solely and completely of Knights Templar. William Casey
Oh no, there's
was
an
a
echo. I
Knights
unplugged
Templar.
my
Alan
thing
Dulles
on
was a
accident.
Knights
Should be better now.
Templar.
It's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
They were also members of the Knights
Fuck, why is
of
my audio not
Malta,
working? I unplugged
which
it.
is just another branch of the Knights Templar. The veil of national security was created so that organizations like the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency could be erected for the furtherance of the plan of the completion of the great work, the destruction of the sovereignty of all nation states, the destruction of all religions, putting all peoples into the shackles of slavery, and bringing about the one world totalitarian socialist state. The socialist and the mystery school's conception of heaven on earth, the utopia that will last for 1,000 years, no more wars, no more criminals. But to do that, they have to put every single human being on the face of this earth under their control for every second of every 24 hours of their life. The assassination of John F. Kennedy resulted in the destruction of the political will of the people of the United States of America. They lost faith in their government, and of course, it was a great blow to the Catholic Church.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
So-
it's important to reiterate that this is not necessarily anyone here's belief system, but
Correct.
it is a belief system followed by a large part of the world. Not a huge part, because of course it is a secret society, but they all share these same histories and same beliefs. And if you don't understand what they believe, then you're not going to understand what's happening, or you won't see
Right.
what's happening, you know? So,
Hey, Linda.
hi, Linda.
So I think there's some interest or as to why we allow some of these secret societies to just operate with impunity. And it could be because they're running the show, but there's so much of it, and there's so much of us that have something to do with, like, they shouldn't be able to operate like this and be above what our laws are or our understanding of those laws for no reason. I mean, they shouldn't have any. There shouldn't be any special treatment for anybody that's involved in it at all. So, yeah, I've never understood why we have so much affinity for and allow them to operate
To this day.
unchecked. So, yeah,
A lot of people look at like the Freemasons and whatnot. They look at it as this benign little, you know, group of guys who get together and have a few drinks and have silly handshakes. But this is an organization that has been around for hundreds of years. They have a plan that they put in place and they have been working towards it. So, you know, even if their belief system and their idea of God is completely wrong, it is what their belief system is. It is what they're using, and it has changed the face of the world many times over.
And so that's the one thing that a lot of these people do possess is patience beyond
Yes.
what we could ever imagine. I mean, they can wait
Yes.
forever to finalize plans or, you know, bring plans to fruition. And
Mhm.
it's, I don't know, it's so crazy to me that we're just like, nah, it's cool. We can let them operate and let them do their thing, and it doesn't really matter, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Bilderberg,
So
for example.
right, like Bilderberg, like why are they allowed to continue um
Why
doing
does
what
it
they
need to
do?
be in private? You know, if they're working for the
Right,
betterment of all of humanity, why are they so hush hush?
right. And why is it so continuous? Why is it something that is yeah. I mean, it's so hard to understand why we allow things like this so often and so much. Um, it's just it's crazy. So,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
did want to mention JKD Buck was saying about the numerology. You got to take it with
Yeah.
a grain of salt, for sure.
Yeah.
I've never really gotten overly into numerology because my dyslexia makes the numbers like to dance and do little jigs and stuff on the page. So, but I know that there are a zillion different tables that you can use to calculate, and
Mhm.
I know that you can play the numbers in any way you want. You can play with them to make them say what you want them to say. So
Right.
it's the same with stats, like statistics. You can use you can change them and work them around to say whatever you want them to say, and it's not necessarily how it really is. So
Exactly.
yeah, the numerology bit I'm really not knowledgeable on because of it, but I do find it's interesting that it does show up so often when it comes to these secret societies.
Right. Right. For sure. I mean, I've never been a huge numerology person because, like you said, you can change those results to be basically whatever you want them to. However, when they support different things or they're a little bit of something else that can get you over the hump, then I think that it's worth paying attention to, or it's worth
Mhm.
um, at least a little bit uh, trying to move forward, or you know, uh, I don't know what word I'm looking
Mhm.
for, but yeah, it's helpful to add into it. I think
Mhm.
that they're, you know, 100% of the time correct? No, I don't think so. Um, but I think they can be helpful in certain contexts. So
Yeah, and people do use them. So, you
yeah,
know, even if it's a fallacy or all made up or whatever, it's still in use. So just,
right.
you know, if it shows up, it's an interesting happenstance whenever it does show up.
Yeah.
And I vaguely recall some sort of numerology, something or other about Trump too. I can't remember, but there was all sorts of different numerology people coming in with predictions about Trump because of his name.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Um, hmm. I'm gonna have to read some more about that because that's I don't know. The whole Trump thing, like there's uh there's some interest there because what happens if it's like if he just strolls back into office and you know everything's fine, I'm gonna be like, huh, what the hell just
Mhm.
happened? So
Yeah. Yeah.
um So I don't know.
Exactly. It can't
There's
be
some
an easy
questions.
turnover.
Right. There's some questions there for sure. But yeah. So all right. Well, we'll get
Oh,
into the episode
I'm
if you're good
just
with that.
going to quickly. Corey Anderson got in late, so hi, good to see you.
Hey, Corey.
Numerology makes the world seem like we're in a computer simulation, like that Matrix. So yeah, it does. It kind of lends credence to certain things. But again, only if you're willing to rely on it, I guess. The Bible code dude was trying to say it predicted it's a Grabin's assassination, but like JKD Buck's saying, he did it years afterwards. Numerology is great for after the fact. It's wonderful with hindsight, right? You can make anything say anything with hindsight, but at the time, it's interesting to see how much of it really works out at the end of the day, right? Like a lot of time it's only being found or discovered after the fact, like the thing with Trump's name. I think there was something to do with how many letters in his name, or it's something it's spelled out. I can't remember. It's silliness, in my opinion, for the most part. But when it does show up beforehand is when it kind of gets eerie.
Yeah.
When they predict stuff with it beforehand.
Well, it's kind of like, it's not quite numerology, but they computer code and in fabric of the universe type things, like they're or golden ratio or stuff like that. That's scientific theory that's all from numbers. And we see that all over. So it makes a lot of sense with the Matrix stuff, which if you've ever watched any of my science special, like I am very much so in the thought process that we live in a complete simulation. And there are certain people that can control that simulation or have all the information to exploit the simulation. So that's right up my alley. So the numbers matter, though they can hide messages for everyone to see, but you need to know the numbers. Well, you need to know the decoding. You need to know the way to decode the numbers, and
there
much
are
like
so many different keys.
right. Much like Egypt or the Rosetta Stone or, all that kind of stuff. Like you have to have the key or we don't know what the numbers mean. You can hide numbers anywhere, but we have to know the key to be able to decipher it. So.
And amazing. Good to see you. You were wondering if Epstein had so many people compromised, how was he ever prosecuted in the first place? In my personal opinion, he was not like, he was the dude. He was the front man, but his handler was Ghislaine. Her father was involved with the CIA and Mossad. And I think at the end of the day, Epstein was just the middleman. He was the guy who was the connect, but he didn't have any real power. And when he got to be too hot of a topic, they got rid of him because they've got many other people that are doing his job as well. So he was expendable, in my opinion. I'm talking out my ass.
Yeah, I think that he once again is somebody that they used. They used for pretty close to what you're saying. I mean, they used him because they can't be directly attached to it. Like they can't be busing kids to a private island to. Yeah, we can't even say that part of it. But
nope.
but yeah,
you need the middlemen,
right?
And preferably layers of middlemen. So yeah.
And I don't on that. I don't trust him. Don't really like his content, but Luke Rudkowski from Tim Pool, his show.
Okay.
He recently broke on to Little St. James, and took video, allegedly.
And I think I saw that.
Yeah, it was on Twitter it was like a 10-minute video.
With Ski-Doos or something, and You got chased off.
Yeah, he got chased off, and I don't know if that was
Yeah.
overly dramatic or whatever, but
Yeah.
interesting. I would go to Little St. James and see what the
Oh, I
hell's
would
going on
love
there.
to explore. For sure.
I would have went
Yeah.
inside though. There's
Yeah.
get enough people together with enough. I mean, it's an American territory. Why wouldn't you? Pew
Who
pew.
owns it now?
I'm not sure who owns it, but there's obviously still people on it.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of it, there was an interesting thing. Not terribly surprising, but they were saying that there's worse islands in the area, and the locals all know about it. So, interesting. Just another interesting data point. So, I think they throw Epstein on the bus side of the fact that Q was fake, but the info is real, and Julian Assange blackmail, and they disappeared him, and now his fake existence was a double in Minecraft. Huh. No, I don't know that
No,
I've
I
ever seen
don't.
that. Huh.
Yeah.
My guess is the Disney Corporation from owns Little St. James.
I would not be surprised.
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy owns it, allegedly.
Okay.
She just made it much more diverse.
Yes, there you go.
Never mind. I can't even say that. It was a tweet. Okay. Huh. I mean, I don't know. There's and so people always say, okay, so great, you can come up with you can come up with conspiracies, you can talk about them, you can bullshit about them, you can say all this, but why? Or they're not going to do, like, there's always some rebuttal to it. And my thing has always been, if it's compelling enough for me to spend my time and energy looking for a reason that bullshit is happening, then there's at least the appearance of it, and there's probably something there.
Yeah.
If it was that far off, where I'm so far off base and I have no idea what I'm talking about, and just blowing smoke and have no idea what I'm talking about, and no idea of what's going on, then why can I connect 12 dots from here? Why?
Yeah.
I'm nobody and just some asshole on the internet, and I can put stuff together to get me at least close. Like, so there's got to be, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's got to be something there. So
yeah.
But
even if they're just making it not necessarily JFK, but there are events that they can blow up on purpose to keep you from looking at the other stuff.
Right.
Sometimes the smoke is intentional to get you looking away.
Right. Well, yeah, distraction. It's look what this hand's doing because the other one's doing what you should really be looking at. So
yeah.
But yeah. All right. Are we ready to continue?
I am. I'm going to quickly grab a coffee, but my headphones, I can hear it. So I'm
no
ready
worries.
when you guys are.
All right. I think I pushed it. If I take mute off, that would work.
It does work better that way. It does.
You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, an event happened in the United States of America on November the 22nd, 1963, that has been forever etched upon the memory of anyone who experienced that day. It has been one of the milestones of world history in that, without any doubt whatsoever, it was the event that literally destroyed the political will of the nation. And it began with a dream.
Sorry. You can skip to from 407 to 506 is the first music thing. Oh,
we're not.
Okay.
We're not. To
We're not there
407
yet.
yet.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I heard music. I was like, oh shit, oh shit.
That dream, ladies and gentlemen, some called Camelot. Some have, over the years, said that this was indeed nothing more than a fantasy. There's been a concerted campaign to destroy the image of our fallen president. Indeed, it's been more than a concerted effort. It's been the all-out effort of many over the years. And to a great extent, they have been very successful in instilling the American people the idea that if he was such a womanizer, amongst other things, who cares who killed him? And that there are those who year after year make speeches and write books, each time coming up with a new theory and new evidence, always pointing away from the true murderers. Tonight, I hope that I can open your eyes and steer you back upon the right path. For broad is the way, and narrow is the gate.
There you go.
When a star is born, it's supposed to be gifts.
Oh shit.
And one of them is this.
520.
506.
506.
Yeah.
The nation at the time was looking for a leader. In fact,
hello.
After having gone through one of the best decades in the history of the United States of America, and feeling as though we were all an instant away from incineration. The Cold War, you see, was at the height of its venom and propaganda. People in the 50s had built fallout shelters all around the world. People held their breath at the slightest indication that the superpowers were ready to collide. A young congressman named John F. Kennedy wrote a book called Profiles in Courage, and many of us derive courage from reading his book. No one ever dreamed that he would be a candidate for president against Tricky Dick.
I believe it incumbent upon the next president of the United States to get this country moving again, to get our economy moving again, to set before the American people its goals, its unfinished business, and then throughout the world appoint the best people we can get, ambassadors who can speak the language, not merely people who made a political contribution, but who can speak the language, bring students here, let them see what kind of a country we have. Mr. Nixon said that we should not regard them as pawns in the Cold War. We should identify ourselves with them. If that were true, why didn't we identify ourselves with the people of Africa? Why didn't we bring students over here? Why did we suddenly offer Congo 300 students last June when they had their tremendous revolt? That was more than we had offered to all of Africa the year before from the federal government. I believe that this party, Republican Party, has stood still really for 25 years, its leadership has. It opposed all of the programs of President Roosevelt and others, the minimum wage and for housing, economic growth, and development of our natural resources, the Tennessee Valley, and all the rest. And I believe that if we can get a party which believes in movement, which believes in going ahead, then we can reestablish our position in the world. Strong defense, strong in economic growth, justice for our people, guarantee of constitutional rights, so that people will believe that we practice what we preach, and then around the world, particularly to try to reestablish the atmosphere which existed in Latin America at the time of Franklin Roosevelt. He was a good neighbor in Latin America because he was a good neighbor in the United States. Because they saw us as a society that was compassionate, that cared about people, that was moving this country ahead. I believe it my responsibility as the leader of the Democratic Party in 1960 to try to warn the American people that in this crucial time we can no longer afford to stand still. We can no longer afford to be second best. I want people all over the world to look to the United States again, to feel that we're on the move, to feel that our high noon is in the future. I want Mr. Khrushchev to know that a new generation of Americans who fought in Europe and Italy and the Pacific for freedom in World War II have now taken over in the United States, and that they're going to put this country back to work again. I don't believe that there's anything this country cannot do. I don't believe there's any burden or any responsibility that any American would not assume to protect his country, protect our security, to advance the cause of freedom. And I believe it incumbent upon us now to do that. Franklin Roosevelt said in 1936 that that generation of Americans had a rendezvous with destiny. I believe in 1960 and 61 and 2 and 3, we have a rendezvous with destiny. And I believe it incumbent upon us to be the defenders of the United States and the defenders of freedom. And to do that, we must give this country leadership, and we must get America moving again.
Senator Kennedy has said tonight again what he has said several times in the course of these debates and in the campaign, that America is standing still. America is not standing still. It has not been standing still. Anybody that says America has been standing still for the last 7.5 years hasn't been traveling in America. He's been in some other country. Let's get that straight right away. Now, the second point we have to understand is this, however. America has not been standing still, but America cannot stand pat. We can't stand pat for the reason that we're in a race, as I've indicated. We can't stand pat because it is essential with the conflict that we have around the world that we not just hold our own, that we not keep just freedom for ourselves. It is essential that we extend freedom, extend it to all the world. And this means more than what we've been doing. It means keeping America even stronger militarily than she is. It means seeing that our economy moves forward even faster than it has. It means making more progress in civil rights than we have, so that we can be a splendid example for all the world to see. But we aren't going to move America forward, and we aren't going to be able to lead the world to win this struggle for freedom if we have a permanent inferiority complex about American achievements. Because we are first in the world in space, as I've indicated. We are first in science, we are first in education, and we're going to move even further ahead with the kind of leadership that we can provide in these years ahead. One other point I would make. What could you do? Senator Kennedy and I are candidates for the presidency of the United States. In the years to come, it will be written that one or the other of us was elected, and that he was or was not a great president. What will determine whether Senator Kennedy or I, if I am elected, was a great president? It will not be our ambition that will determine it, because greatness is not something that is written on a campaign poster. It will be determined to the extent that we represent the deepest ideals, the highest feelings and faith of the American people. In other words, the next president, as he leads America in the free world, can be only as great as the American people are great. And so I say in conclusion, keep America's faith strong. See that the young people of America particularly have faith in the ideals of freedom and faith in God, which distinguishes us from the atheistic materialists who oppose us.
And of course, we all know who won that debate. John F. Kennedy won it by a landslide as Richard Nixon stood there with a 5 o'clock shadow, looking mean-spirited as he later turned out to positively be. They didn't call him Tricky Dick, you see, for nothing. And I think the American people instinctively sensed that at that time. John F. Kennedy was personable, likable, handsome, young. And he had a way with words that made the nation fall in love with it. We all took time off from work, did whatever we could to be in front of our television sets to hear his inaugural address.
We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and Almighty God the same solemn oath our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago. The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of that first revolution. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today at home and around the world. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty. This much we pledge and more. To those old allies whose cultural and spiritual origins we share, we pledge the loyalty of faithful friends. United, there is little we cannot do in a host of cooperative ventures. Divided, there is little we can do, for we dare not meet a powerful challenge at odds and split asunder. To those new states whom we welcome to the ranks of the free, we pledge our word that one form of colonial control shall not have passed away, merely to be replaced by a far more iron tyranny. We shall not always expect to find them supporting our view, but we shall always hope to find them strongly supporting their own freedom and to remember that in the past, those who foolishly sought power by riding the back of the tiger ended up inside. To those people in the huts and villages of half the globe struggling to break the bonds of mass misery, we pledge our best efforts to help them help themselves for whatever period is required, not because the communists may be doing it, not because we seek their votes, but because it is right. If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. To our sister republics south of our border, we offer a special pledge to convert our good words into good deeds. In a new alliance for progress, to assist free men and free governments in casting off the chains of poverty. But this peaceful revolution of hope cannot become the prey of hostile powers. Let all our neighbors know that we shall join with them to oppose aggression or subversion anywhere in the Americas.
Okay, so I get caught up when you hear Kennedy speak. He speaks so like you want to hear what the man's saying. Like you can get lost in Kennedy speaking. You really can.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just I don't know. And he speaks so it's odd to listen to him speak because he's speaking so much in the, I don't know. He was a damn good speaker. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
So,
he was.
I was gonna get some chats real quick. See if we
Okay.
get
My lazy eye doesn't jingle, so I don't know. Sorry, Bobby.
nope, everybody's just making fun of me, so it's fine.
Yeah, you're a grump, and it turns out I'm a drump, not a grump.
Oh, that works.
So, there you go. Yeah.
I don't think I have a lazy eye.
No. JFK did, and I do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he's got the wolf thing going on, 2 different colored eyes. I guess I've never looked that close, but potentially.
I think it's just the lighting.
Just the lighting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah. I have noticed the lazy eye before, but never noticed it 2 different color eyes.
Huh. Okay. All right, we'll continue. I had to point that out.
Let every other power know
Sorry.
that this hemisphere intends to remain the master of its own house. To that world assembly of sovereign states, the United Nations,
Fuck you, chat.
our last best hope, in an age where the instruments of war have far...
Oh, thank you, Comer. Happy Grumpus. At least when he makes fun of me, he pays me to do it.
Well, there you
Makes
go.
it feel much better. So, thanks, buddy. It's appreciated.
Our taste, the instruments of peace.
Fuck up, Dazer.
We renew our pledge of support to prevent it from becoming merely a forum for invective,
Andy.
to strengthen its shield of the new and the weak, and to enlarge the area in which its grip may run.
True.
Finally, to those nations who would make themselves our adversary, we offer not a pledge, but a request that both sides begin anew the quest for peace. Before the dark powers of destruction, unleashed by science, engulf all humanity in planned or accidental self-destruction. We dare not tempt them with weakness, for only when our arms are sufficient beyond doubt can we be certain beyond doubt that they will never be employed.
But neither can two great and powerful groups of nations take comfort from our present course, both sides overburdened by the cost of modern weapons, both rightly alarmed by the steady spread of the deadly atom, yet both racing to alter that uncertain balance of terror that stays the hand of mankind's final war. So let us begin anew, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness, and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. Let both sides explore what problems unite us, instead of belaboring those problems which divide us. Let both sides, for the first time, formulate serious and precise proposals for the inspection and control of arms, and bring the absolute power to destroy other nations under the absolute control of all nations. Let both sides seek to invoke the wonders of science instead of its terrors. Together, let us explore the stars, conquer the deserts, eradicate disease, tap the ocean depth, and encourage the arts and commerce. Let both sides unite to heed in all corners of the earth the command of Isaiah to undo the heavy burdens and let the oppressed go free. And if a beachhead of cooperation may push back the jungle of suspicion, let both sides join in creating a new endeavor, not a new balance of power, but a new world of law, where the strong are just and the weak secure and the peace preserved. All this will not be finished in the first 100 days, nor will it be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the life of this administration, nor even perhaps in our lifetime on this planet. But let us begin. In your hands, my fellow citizens, more than mine, will rest the final success or failure of our course. Since this country was founded, each generation of Americans has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty. The graves of young Americans who answered the call to service surround the globe. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though in battle we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe
that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
And ladies and gentlemen, the time that this man was president, he began to institute some changes that some Americans thought they would never see. As the Central Intelligence Agency began to mount their invasion of the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, the new president, not knowing anything about it, was hastily briefed. The result, of course, was disaster. It was, in fact, meant to be a disaster to destroy the movement against Castro in Cuba, to identify those who would fight against him and eliminate them, cementing communist foothold in the Caribbean, shattering the Monroe Doctrine. Whether John F. Kennedy was a willing participant in the failure at the Bay of Pigs, only those intimately involved will ever know. He then began to break down the old taboos in the South. A black person, instead of going to the back of the bus, sat in the front. Another black person sat at an all-white lunch counter. Another black student attempted to enroll in the University of Alabama, and the war began. John F. Kennedy and his brother sided with those who had been oppressed, who had been held down under the thumb of the old plague upon mankind, racism, and for that he was hated. The old Knights of the Golden Circle rose their ugly head again, and the Ku Klux Klan swept across the South. Violence erupted. People were murdered. People were hurt. Traditions were broken, and some were shamed, and many were confused. Later, upon a report from the Central Intelligence Agency, satellites began to focus their attention upon Cuba. The new spy plane called the U-2 began overflights, and photographs were shown to John F. Kennedy that were said to contain proof that the Soviet Union had intercontinental ballistic missiles on that island, which could be easily aimed and could easily reach any major American city within moments. I remember watching the television when we were told that the military had gone to alert and all ships proceeding for Cuba would be stopped and searched, and any carrying missiles or missile equipment or armaments would be turned around. I was in the United States Air Force at that time, and I can tell you that at Shepherd Air Force Base in the 494th, what was also known as the 45th Strategic Wing, we were prepared to launch planes upon a moment's notice, carrying atomic and hydrogen bombs, which would fly over the pole and strike their targets deep within Soviet territory. It was a tense time, and they say that Khrushchev blinked and that we won. Nobody knows really, and much of it is just as confusing as all of the rest of that period in history. And eventually, civil rights gained a foothold. And there were many who hated John F. Kennedy. And then on one fateful day, he made a trip to Dallas, Texas, rode in a motorcade down Main Street, took a little jog over to Elm. No reason for that jog unless you know what I know. And you'll hear about that in a few moments. And then
We're almost somewhere there. I didn't see your
and
private
it
message
seemed
until
as
then.
if the world
That's okay. I didn't write it until it started anyway.
people cried where they stood, wherever they stood. On street corners, in living rooms, in department stores, in the halls of Congress. And it seemed as if someone had struck a blow to the heart of every individual in the country. And all the fingers pointed to one lone man who had been arrested in a theater in Dallas. And then a few days later, not even that long, after protesting loudly his innocence, he was killed in the basement parking garage in a building just off Dealey Plaza where President Kennedy had met his death by a man named Ruby. Did Lee Harvey Oswald do it? No. No, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what you've heard or what you've been told, Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot John F. Kennedy. In fact, he was not even on the 6th floor of the book depository building. I'm holding in my hand now a photograph taken by James Altgens just seconds after the bullets that fired and killed John Fitzgerald Kennedy hit their mark. And Lee Harvey Oswald is standing in the doorway, the open doorway of the book depository building. And there are many detractors out there, all who are meant to detract and confuse, who say that that's a man named Lovelady or Lovelace, and it is not. In fact, the man is wearing the exact same clothes that Lee Harvey Oswald was wearing when he was arrested.
Yeah.
And it is, without any shadow of a doubt, Lee Harvey Oswald. For there's a little-known method of identifying people, ladies and gentlemen, that the world doesn't much want you to know about. It is the measurement to the bone structure, the distance between the nearest points of the eyes, the distance between the farthest points of the eyes, the distance between the pupils of the eyes, the distance between the point of the chin and the bridge of the nose, the distance from temple to temple, the distance from one corner of the lips to the other, the distance between the top lip and the nose, the distance between the tip of the nose and the bridge of the nose. All of these measurements can be used, and it doesn't matter whether you're measuring a real person or a tiny photograph, for the measurements will always be true to the correct proportion of the living person. And if you take a photograph where the head of an individual is only 1/8 of an inch in one photograph and make those measurements under magnification and compare them with the same measurements taken from a head where the head measures 2 inches in another photograph, the proportions will be exactly the same. And we have done that, ladies and gentlemen, with many different pictures of Lee Harvey Oswald. That
Facial
photograph
recognition.
of the man standing in the doorway
Before facial
of the book
recognition.
depository building as the motorcade passes and the president is assassinated is, in fact, Lee Harvey Oswald. So he could not have killed the president. And in fact, he did not kill the president. All of you who have been listening to this broadcast for a long period.
What'd you say? Did you say stop?
Oh, just there was a lot of shots being fired, but the one person who got blamed for it was the one person who didn't fire a shot. He was standing at the front door with the rest of the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's something where we'll get into it after. I don't want to do it. We'll do it after.
No worries.
We'll do it after. All right, we'll keep going.
Of time, and have either listened to or purchased the series known as the Mystery Schools or Mystery Babylon, understand the symbology of the true assassins. And the symbology holds all the way through, even through the Garrison trials, and even right up to the president, displayed in a movie called JFK, produced by one Oliver Stone. The symbology is always there. You see, the South, ladies and gentlemen, perpetrated the Civil War not from the will of the common man. The common man has never in history cried out for war. It was instigated by a group known as the Southern Jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Albert Pike was a prominent Confederate general. After the war, Albert Pike was one of the creators of the Ku Klux Klan. B'nai B'rith was heavily involved, and so was British intelligence. All of these groups had much to gain by maintaining their relationship with England, by maintaining slavery, by maintaining what are known as states' rights. But you see, that was never really the question, although many say that it is. Slavery had nothing to do with the Civil War. States' rights really didn't have anything to do with the Civil War, although that's what you'll read in textbooks. It had to do with money. It had to do with the attempt to break up the union of the several states so that England could again get a foothold in the New World. In fact, the goal of British intelligence was to break the back of the Union and rule the colonies, as they called it, once again. These secret societies that I have revealed to you speak in symbology. You see, Dealey Plaza, ladies and gentlemen, is an outdoor temple of the sun. It was not the United States government, or the CIA, or the Office of Naval Intelligence that killed John F. Kennedy. It was not the mafia or the mob. It was a group of secret societies, all using the same symbology, who all have the same goal of a one-world totalitarian socialist government who are racist at the core of their beliefs. And that's the real reason John F. Kennedy was killed. He was integrating America. He was mixing the races. And that's a no-no. See, even today, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry has separate lodges for blacks and whites and the Jews. The Jews' lodge is called B'nai B'rith. For the whites, it's called the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry Southern Jurisdiction. And for the blacks, it's called the Prince Hall Lodge. Why blacks and Jews ever buy into this sham, I never know. But at the heart of it, it always goes back to Israel. And in the ceremony, the secret ceremonies in these lodges, you will see the reenactment of things that supposedly happened hundreds of years ago. You will see people who pretend to be Christians, who pretend to be Lutherans or Catholics and even atheists, dressed in the robes of the ancient priesthoods and reenact pagan religious ceremonies and circumambulate about the lodge as the master sits in the east, representing the rising sun, the source of true illumination. No one sits in the north. According to the Bible, that's where the God of the Bible sits, and that is not their God. The north is said to be a dark and terrible, evil place. Remember the pledge of Lucifer? That he would take over and sit in the throne on the side of the mountain in the north. These men believe in the Luciferian philosophy, which is the generative force represented by a phallus. They believe in a trinity represented, I should say, by a triangle, the exact shape of Dealey Plaza. They believe that man himself can become God. And this triangle represents the three forces of generation: thought, desire, action. They're saved by their works. The generative force, or that which gets things done, is represented by the phallus, that which was lost. When Osiris was chopped into pieces and scattered about the land, Isis went to find him and found all but one, the penis, or the phallus of Osiris, the lost word of Freemasonry. In Dealey Plaza is shaped like a pyramid, truncated in fact, with the eye represented by the underpass going over or under the railroad overpass. There is a phallus, an obelisk, if you will, surmounted by the representation of the god of these secret societies, the eternal flame, for they are known as the philosophers of fire. Near the obelisk is a reflecting pool. The pool represents the goddess Isis, reflecting the light, the pure light of her master. And from this mystic union is born the child Horus, which is representative of the full body of the adepts, the initiates, those who have gone through the 3 degrees and 6 acts, represented by the number 18, or 666. It is the number of a man. It is the man who will rule in the New World Order. The mystery of the jog off Main Street, down Houston, and turned left on Elm is simply because in the symbology of the mystery schools, the ancient mystery religions of Babylon and Egypt and Rome, the sacrifice of the king was always committed in a grove. The grove is represented in Dealey Plaza by Elm Street. It is, in fact, a temple of the sun, much like Stonehenge, with the 4 quarters of the temple arrayed about Dealey Plaza. This is something that you are never told, and that you would never know if you did not listen to this broadcast. President Kennedy was wounded in the exact 3 same spots as Hiram Abiff, who was murdered in the Masonic initiation, representing the persecution of the Templars on Friday the 13th in the year 1307, where Hiram Abiff is struck in the back and in the throat and in the head. Dealey Plaza is just a very few short miles from the 33rd parallel, the highest degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the meritorious degree, the degree of the Illuminati, whose motto is Ordo ab Chaos, or out of chaos.
Have you ever seen the thing that they there was a leaked YouTube clip of it, or a leaked Twitter clip of it, where they actually, for the rite of passage, enact the killing of the dude that they just had for the Freemasons and all that shit. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that.
No, I haven't.
I'll see if I can find it before the end of the show, but it was pretty intense.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's just, it's if normal, well-adjusted people did shit like that regularly, you'd be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
What's wrong? Yeah.
Right. But you can play dress up and play games like this, and I just don't understand how. Well, it's like it's the same thing with like the king and all that stuff. It's all the pomp and circumstance surrounding you doing something. Like why do we have to be so what's the word I'm looking for? So uh like out there with stuff. Why can't we just do normal life? Why do we have to be so dramatic about everything?
Yeah.
Like why is it so I don't know. Doesn't make any sense, but
The pomp and ceremony actually cover for a lot. There's a lot of stuff that can be done behind the scenes while everyone's watching the show. So that's my only thought.
It is, and it's symbology will be your downfall. You hear that a lot of that was Q related and all that good shit, but symbology will be their downfall, and to see what's going on is, I don't know, man. Like something's got to be different, because we can't. Eccentric's a good word. I'll take that. Thanks, Bandy. Appreciate you. But yeah, I never understood why we have to make these grand ceremonies for stupid shit. But I guess, like you said, maybe it's a way that they can cover stuff up and not be so out there for it, or not be so recognized for what they're actually doing, or that kind of thing. So I don't know. God, I'm never going to be able to find that. See, this is why I need to download stuff when I see it. I was like, I'm going to use this at some point, and it's somewhere in Discord.
Yeah. Let's try and find it. Eh?
Right. It's easier if I try and find it from, find it from Twitter, but it's somewhere in Discord. So I'll look while I'm watching the rest.
Okay.
Comes order, which literally means if they break down the existing structure and cause the population to cry out for order, they will emerge as the rulers and will have the world that they seek. Jim Garrison, when he arrested those in New Orleans who were implicated in the plot, found that the address that they were operating out of had a door numbered 1313, and the other door a number that added up to 13 if you added the individual numbers. Significant symbology of the Knights Templar and the Freemasonic Lodge and B'nai B'rith, all complicit. You see, Giuseppe Mazzini had corresponded with Albert Pike in the 1800s, and he had put together an Italian branch of the Illuminati from Italian youth street gangs. This became what you know as the Mafia. The link has nothing to do with organized crime or intelligence agencies. The link is between secret societies who all have the same goal: to establish the Anglo-Aryan race as the true descendants of the lost tribe of Israel, to establish the House of Windsor upon the throne of the world as the true descendant of the House of David, and subjugate all other races and peoples to abject, utter, and complete slavery. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is who killed John F. Kennedy and why. We have the Zapruder film available, which you can study.
Odyssey.
If you'd like to send $1 in a self-addressed stamped number 10 size envelope, we will send you an information pack. I would suggest that you get that videotape, for it explains a lot. When I was attached to the Office of Naval Intelligence, I saw a document which stated that Kennedy had been killed by the driver of his car. And I spent many years looking for something that would show me that. And in 1988, John Lear said he had a copy of the film. John Lear is the son of William P. Lear of Learjet fame. I obtained that film from him. He told me that he had obtained it from a Central Intelligence Agency agent whom he could not name, who later turned out to be a man named Lars Hansen, who called me and brought me a copy of the film. He gave it to me. He was a volunteer upon my staff when I made my presentation at Hollywood High School in Los Angeles in 1989. He helped videotape the event. Later, he claimed that he knew nothing about my using the videotape that he gave me that showed, or appeared to show, the driver turn around and shoot Kennedy, holding a pistol in his left hand and shooting over his right shoulder. Later turned out that he had a link to Tom Valentine, the Stell group, or the Stell Society, another group that had as its god Lucifer, borne out by an interview given by Tom Valentine to Richard Noon in a book called 5/5/2000, Ice the Ultimate Disaster, where Tom Valentine makes the statement that Jesus Christ failed and now it was Lucifer's turn. The leader of the Stell group had also gone on record as saying that their god was Lucifer.
It shoot rocks.
It's good for that kind of shit.
Then we find Lars Hansen suddenly showing up with Bo Greitz. And Greitz writes a book saying that I stole the film and that I'm a charlatan. And as you know, if you've listened to this broadcast, I've proven that to be a lie in his own words. And you can get those tapes too. But folks, we have been had for many years. We have been had. It took me many years to finally obtain a first-generation copy of the Zapruder film, and that's the one we have. It's the best you'll ever see in brilliant color, sharp detail. There is none better anywhere outside the original. And on it you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that someone has severely doctored that film, scraped off whole sections of emulsion, either to hide the fact that William Greer, the driver, shot William Kennedy, or to make it look like he did. They also scraped the emulsion off John F. Kennedy's wounds so that you cannot see the true wounds or the true extent of the wounds. However, they did not touch the back of the head. And what you will find on that film, ladies and gentlemen, is that there is no wound to the back of John F. Kennedy's head whatsoever. He was hit with an exploding bullet on the right side of his face, just between the eye and the temple at forehead level. This bullet exploded and blew away literally half his head. There is no entrance wound on the back of his head, and there is no exit wound on the back of his head. So who shot John F. Kennedy? It's not who that counts. For all of them together, all of the members of these secret societies are guilty. It makes no difference who actually pulled the trigger. It's why. And where is it going to take us? You see, they planted their symbol on his grave in their arrogance and their disdain for him and for us. The philosophers of fire are laughing still. Robert Groden, who gave false testimony to Congress and who has been telling you that he is the expert, civilian, independent analyst of the Zapruder film, has never, ever told you the truth. Good night. God bless you. And please, wake up.
Okay, now he's going to speak briefly.
Okay, I'll let him speak. I want a serious question. After JFK was shot, did things get better or worse in America back then? I don't know. I mean, I obviously wasn't around back then. I think that the downfall of our republic started with the bullet that hit Kennedy. So I would argue that it's been significantly worse. But as far as during that time in the immediate future, or in the immediate, you know, in the immediacy of the event, I don't know. I really don't. So, America went to Vietnam after over drugs and oil. Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any input or on that?
Honestly, I think in the grand scheme of things, it didn't. It could have changed a lot, but I don't think it really did. I think if he had been able to survive, I think maybe the route that America was headed down would have changed. But because he wasn't, they were allowed to continue moving forward on the plan. So
Right. And I mean, he was one person. So what does it do? It sets it back, or it accelerates their plan a little bit more on the other side.
It's kind of like Trump. Like, he was a wild card that came in and they just didn't know what to do with him. But in the grand scheme of things, what did he really affect?
Right.
Not a
Right.
whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he did great. Don't get me wrong. I think he was one of the better presidents in my lifetime. But in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't able to make a whole lot of difference in the course that we're heading down.
Right. And I think that he maybe, if anything, potentially accelerated the deep state not wanting that to ever happen again. And maybe I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you who the president before Kennedy was. I'm a bad American, but I couldn't tell you the 2, 3, 4 before Kennedy. So I don't know if it would have made. I don't know if we already headed down that path, or if it just made it so that deep state would be much more careful about who they selected, or how far they let it go. But I think it was definitely a wake-up call for him.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson. Okay. Consider that Tucker clip from the start. It's been that way for a while. Exactly. And that's why I thought it was relevant. So,
just as an aside, the original Rothschild, he had a formula. He figured out a formula with which he could control the outcome of the world.
okay.
And he couldn't do anything with it because there was nothing able to compute that formula until computers showed up and IBM showed up. And
Gotcha.
it's very interesting that the manipulation of information via the internet has really made such a difference. They can get a lot of stuff out to us without our even realizing that it's lies or it's misleading, or
Yeah. And you'll never convince me that viral isn't just them pushing what they want. So
yeah Exactly.
Viral is just a way for them to get you to consume what they want you to consume. So,
yeah, Johnson was after. He's the one that won. He took over. I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the guy, but part of why he lost, from what I understand, was that he oh shit. Oh gosh, it's lore, and I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But I do know there was something to do with the president before JFK and how he lost.
Before Kennedy was Eisenhower.
Eisenhower. Okay.
And then after was Lyndon B. Johnson, and then Richard Nixon, and then Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barry Obama, Donald Trump, and fuck nuts, the former vice president.
Amazing is saying Mark Grobert has some crazy stories. Mark Grobert, if you're really interested in JFK, Mark, he and Eric, they do a show called America's Untold Stories, and they are able to connect the dots from so many different, completely, different aspects of what was going on in the world, and yet he's able to make the connection, so you can see how we went from World War I to World War II, and then how bringing the Nazis into our various Western countries helped those countries to, proceed. And they're able to connect dots. Like, there's a whole nother side to Oswald. Like, I don't think he was just some patsy. There's a lot more to him than that, and they go into that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, America's Untold Stories, they are brilliant. They tell you the stuff that they don't want you to remember.
Yeah.
The facts that are better thought to be brushed under the covers, They know them, and they connect those dots. And it's one of my favorite shows.
I'll have to check that out then. All right, we'll let this one finish because we only got like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah, he's just got a couple of things to say. Really interesting, though.
Another man who wrote a book to confuse you about the Kennedy assassination is Mark Lane. Did you know that the Jonestown experiment was a CIA-run experiment, and the Jonestown massacre also was an experiment in mind control? Did you know that Mark Lane was Jim Jones' lawyer, and that now he is the lawyer for the Liberty Lobby?
All right, that's it. You can stop it so we don't get in trouble.
Okay.
He actually plays the rose quite a bit because of the symbology within that song. Anytime he's playing a song during these shows, there is symbology behind the song, and it usually it has to do with whatever the topic of the episode is. So, but the rose is one of his favorites.
Gotcha. Okay. Now let's see if we can get struck before we, or check down. So this is allegedly undercover camera to expose Freemason Master Mason degree ritual. And this shit's just fucking comical. Like, there's 4 parts to it. So, and I don't think it's the whole thing, but it's most of it. This shit is just so comical.
Yeah,
to me.
It really is a show.
Oh, yeah, it's just theater. It's playing games. I don't know. So, and again, anybody else did this, people would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Grandmaster Hiram Hill, I'm glad to meet you. Give me the secrets of a master mason, or I will take your life.
This is no time and place for the man, no secrets.
Not to me about time, place, patience, or the completion of the temple. Give me the secrets of a master mason, or I will take your life.
It behooves you in this rude and violent manner thus to demand no secrets. When the temple's complete, if found worthy, you'll then receive them lawfully as I have.
You have passed Jubileum. Me you cannot pass. My name is Jubileum, well known for my determination of character. What I undertake, that I do. Give me the secrets of a master mason instantly, or I will take your life. I will not. What? Still persist? Then die.
It's amazing the amounts of stuff they have to memorize before and recite word for word before they can make the next step up.
It's such a cult.
Yeah.
This is no time for reflection. What shall we do with the body?
We'll carry the rivers of the temple above these priests again and discuss what to do.
Agreed.
Are they simulating what, like a horse or something?
I know.
Taking it on a boat ride.
Is that what you bastards did to Jimmy Hoffa too? Fuckers. All right, so that's the first one. Yeah, fuck it. We'll go through the whole thing.
Yeah, why not?
It's only like 10 minutes together. Well, I think the last couple are longer, but so here's part 2.
Yeah, that must be a part of it.
Yeah.
Now what shall we do?
Here they pick men to join by putting a white ball for yes and a black ball for no, which is getting blackballed comes from.
Hail, Captain, hail.
Hello.
Is that your ship yonder? It is. Whither are you bound?
To Ethiopia.
Do you take passengers?
I do.
Will you take us?
I will, if you have King Solomon's pass.
We have no pass, but we have money, and we will pay you your demands.
And you cannot go, for I have strict orders not to take workmen from the temple out of the country unless express permission from King Solomon.
What shall we do?
Let us turn back into the country.
Agreed.
So weird.
I know.
Looks like King Solomon, the Grand Master Hammerbeck, is missing. You see the Grand Master Hammerbeck? You see the Grand Master Have you? Have you seen him?
He's behind you. He's dead.
Hail, brother. What discoveries have you made? Yours have been recently removed. Has the appearance of a grave.
What causes confusion among the crowd?
Looks like King Solomon called Jack's return.
The body of the Grand Master Hiram V.
And go with me to raise the body of the Grand Master Hiram V.
What's up, Matt?
Mortals now indulge a tear, for mortality is here. See how wide her trophies
Yeah, Bobby.
for the slumbers of the grave.
We should probably talk.
Here another guest we bring, seraphs of celestial wing.
Yeah. But those were kids, not grown-ass men.
Yeah. And the best part is all these people here will probably never get anywhere near that 33rd degree.
Right.
And
right.
from what I understand, I didn't realize this, but I'm learning now that when you hit 33, that's just at that one level. Then you start learning more mysteries. You start at the next group at the bottom rung, and you have to work up to 33 there. So there are so many steps to get to any point of actual power in these things.
Right.
It's most of them are just going to be these guys play and dress up, and they're never going to know any of it.
So I have a serious question. If you walked into this place, you didn't know who they were, and you walked in for your first time, and you were like, they were doing some fucked up shit like this, would you stay?
Well, it depends. Right now, if I just walked into the room and sat down, I would think it's some sort of community play group, and I might stick around to see what the play was about. But it's not a very well done play, so I probably wouldn't stick around long.
I would look on the walls and see all those fucking symbols and everything and be like, you guys are a cult. Like, this is nothing short of a cult. And then you get into the resurrection and the stuff like that we're going to see coming up and that we heard brief mention of before. And that's demonic. That's satanic. So you don't just walk in, you're essentially groomed for it. Well, yeah. I understand that, but it's
Actually,
invitation only, no girls allowed.
Bill, the only reason he was able to get to the high intelligence position that he did reach was because he was one point a member of the Knights of Malta. So it didn't really have a whole lot to do with it. It was, I believe it was just before he joined up, but it was on his resume, which told these people that he was one of them. So that's, I'd love to be a Grand Poobah. They probably get really awesome outfits.
I don't know what a Grand Poobah is, but all I can think of is Pooh Bear and then Xi Jinping, and this is where my brain goes. So
the Grand Poobah was the head of the lodge in the Flintstones.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. So no TM out.
Oh, sorry. It was
there's
the
no
Demolay. Sorry, it wasn't Knights of Malta. It was the Demolay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if there's no T, fuck it. Dazzer's out. Like he wants nothing to do with anything.
He's a Brit.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh Lord my God. Oh Lord my God. Oh Lord my God. Is there no help for the widow's son? Brother Hammertime, you will raise the body by the grip of an intertwined face.
It sounded like they said hammer time.
I thought they said hammer tire.
All I heard was hammer time.
Decomposition, and having been dead 15 days, skin slips from the flesh. Then you will endeavor to raise the body by the true grip of a fellow crowd.
Dude, I would be like, you guys are fucking nerds with this handshake shit.
For like reasons before, the body cannot be thus raised. The flesh cleaves from the bone. Brother, having tired, what shall we do? Let us pray. Brethren, let us pray. Oh God, knowest our down cities and our uprisings, and our understandest our thoughts afar off. Shield and defend us from the evil intentions of our enemies, and support us under the trials and afflictions which we are destined to endure while traveling through this vale of tears. Man that is born of woman is of few days and full of trouble.
Oh shit, he fucked up. Execute him.
He cometh forth as a flower and is cut down. He fleeth as well as a shadow and continued not. Seeing that his
Exactly.
days are determined, the number of his months is with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Turn from him that he may rest till he shall accomplish his day. For there is hope of a tree, if it
be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch therefore will not cease. But man dieth and wasteth away, yeah, man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up.
I agree, but I'm trying not to piss off diggers, so I'll agree with you silently.
No worries.
Shall be no more. Yet, O Lord, have compassion on the children of thy creation.
I'm gonna come.
And minister them comfort.
My
in
club's
time
not
of
crazy
trouble,
either.
and save them with everlasting salvation. Amen.
I think the sacrifice guy was under 40.
Although the skin slips from the flesh, and the flesh
Hi, Aaron. Thank you.
Hey, Aaron.
Lion of the tribe of Judah. The body shall be raised on the 5 points of fellowship. And the first words spoken or uttered after the body is raised will be the substitute for each national word until future generations discover the right.
Mahabone?
Mm-hmm.
Are they where they're being recorded? No, amazing. Allegedly.
My guess is they probably don't know.
That looks very sensual.
Yeah. You're definitely friendly with the man. You give that to.
All right, so why are we less clothed? I want to see more. Is that wrong of me? No, it's not.
No.
That's the correct answer. So this is the last part, and yeah, this one's like 5 minutes, but
Who comes here?
Brother, who has been regularly initiated and enter apprentice mason, pass through the degree of fellowcraft, now seek for the light in masonry by being raised to the sublime degree as a mason.
Is this of your own free will and accord?
Yes.
You will say, I, announce your name in full, and in an audible tone of voice, repeat after me. I, of my own free will.
No
and accord,
shit.
Of my own free will and accord, in addition to my former obligations. I will always hail.
Satan.
Conceal wherever
Oh.
conceal, and never reveal any of
I thought he was going to hail Satan.
No, these guys don't. Well, they do, but not these guys. Not this low.
Bullshit. If you subscribe to resurrection and all that bullshit, you are satanic. And I'm not horribly religious, but like some of the stuff that these guys practice is 100% satanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I read my dad's book about Freemason rituals when he didn't know. Damn, Mandy.
Mm-hmm. There's some interesting
Women's
stuff
can't
they
read
do.
it. I would love to get my hands on one of those at some point.
No
but
doubt. No doubt.
just yeah, I don't know. And they're in like these secluded areas. They're not assuming. You can't get into any of them. Like it's odd. It's very odd.
It's they're a lot like well, Scientology worked a lot along the same lines as these guys. They
Very much so.
Take everyone down from the inside. They infiltrate and then they control from within. And they rarely control from within with themselves as the face of the power. There's almost always someone that's being the face man. They're the front man.
Where is like the main Masonic temple? So United Grand Lodge of England, founded in 1717.
But before the Freemasons were the Templars.
There's a the world's largest Masonic temple is guess where?
New York.
Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, Detroit. I should have known that.
Look at that. World's largest Masonic
There you
temple.
go.
Located in Cass Corridor of Detroit, Michigan, 500 temple, various Masonic organizations, blah, blah, blah. Damn.
Well, shit. Someone's going on a road trip, eh?
Motherfucker. Where is that at? It's in Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know where you're at. Well, field trip? Field trip.
Yeah. Oh, before we start it again, Bobby says he doesn't think the Masons are pulling the levers the way people think they are. It just sounds sexy because they're weird. I know. I think the people who are really pulling the levers are so far up and above and beyond these people that we know of as Freemasons. These guys are just playing, you know. It's really nothing. But the people who are really, really pulling the strings are so far above Freemasonry. Yeah, they Freemasonry to them is just a show. It's just a pomp and ceremony thing.
Yeah, it's a way for people to weed people out and make people that are sympathetic to the cause. That's not the word I'm looking for, but people that are going to hold these high secrets. What the fuck secrets could you have, honestly? Like what is that secret that you could have?
Well,
I don't even know.
These groups have been around for hundreds of years, and they've been collecting, the dirt for the hundreds of years. So who knows what they've got? You know?
God, this thing is cool. 1894, moved to its first temple, blah, blah, blah. The cornerstone was placed on September 19th, 1922, using the same trowel that George Washington had used to set the cornerstone on the U.S. Capitol in D.C. The one in Detroit. I'm stuck on this now. And Comer, we're gonna have to work out a deal for bail money if you're gonna want me to do an undercover stream. So
we'll start a GoFundMe now.
Yeah. No, I don't want to join these losers. I just want to infiltrate them.
Yes.
Well, I knew that for sure. I swear to God, I didn't know that. That thing was here and so close. That's fucking weird. I didn't even know that, for real.
Well, look here. You have to be a 32nd degree Freemason to become a Shriner. So, yeah. See, there's levels to all of these differing groups. And that's why I say I agree with Bobby. The ones that are actually pulling the levers are not, they don't consider themselves to be Freemasons or any of that. They're so far beyond and above this.
So is there cool stuff in the littler ones too? Because I know where this one is. It's funny that two of the Mason headquarters that are in this Wikipedia article are 15 miles in either direction of me.
Ooh.
Kind of ironic.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Okay, I'll stop.
It's a club within a club, and the rest make up the power base. So these guys are all just cover for the real power people. But these guys don't know that they're just cover.
Right, and the 33rds are like nobody knows who they are, right? It's not like they're
Walt Disney was the 33rd degree. Charlie Sheen is the 33rd degree. His dad and his granddad, I believe, were both 33rd. Yeah, you have to do something especially important for the movement to be able to get to the 33rd. Yeah, George Washington. Yeah, but then, like I said, once you become 33rd degree, then there's the next group, and you start at the bottom there, and you work up. So you're always learning more. You're getting more knowledge. So just because you're a 33rd in, say, Freemason doesn't mean you're a 33rd with the Shriners. You'd have to work further, right? You have to keep
Gotcha.
working up.
Huh.
Yeah.
Seems like way too much work.
Yeah, America's founding fathers were Luciferian Freemasons. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Mandy, yes.
All right, let's watch the rest of this.
Yes, let's do that.
Under the canopy of heaven. Under the canopy of heaven. Except it be.
Like reaching a bridge in Scientology. It's very much like Scientology from what I've learned tonight.
Yes, yes. Scientology was loosely based around it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, what's his face that started Scientology was a high up Mason as well.
God, I forgot his name.
Oh,
But
yeah, I know. I'm drawing a blank.
Doesn't he have name or letters for a first name?
Oh. I'm having trouble.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L.
There
Ron
you
Hubbard.
go.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm thinking like Heinlein and yeah, there was a whole bunch of them, and they were all high up in the Freemasons.
Furthermore, that I will not violate your chastity.
Mm-hmm.
I will not violate your chastity. Your brother Master Mason's wife. Your brother Master Mason's wife. Daughter, sister, mother or widow, or suffer the same, to be done by another. Furthermore, that I will not.
Yeah, and supposedly it's rooted in the occult, both sections. Magic rituals that tell my goddess Babylon in a human being, blah blah blah. See, this is all so fucking weird.
Yep.
My body severed in twain. My bowels taken thence. And burned to ashes. And the ashes cast. To the four winds of heaven. No more remembrance. May be had of me. Among men and Masons forever. God, so help me God. And keep me steadfast. In the due observance of this. My solemn obligation. As a Master Mason. Now, at your hand. On your head. In the token of your sincerity. Kiss the Holy Bible on which you now believe. Brother Senior Warden, release the candidate from the faith, though it being 3 times around his naked body is to signify that he is now bound to eternity by a threefold tie. Being in a condition of darkness. Senior Warden, assist me in bringing the candidate from darkness to see the light by which Master Masons work. The first object presented to you is being brought from darkness are the 3 reflects of Freemason as before. With this difference. Now observe both points of the compasses elevated above the square.
Hi, Jenny.
You are now about to receive all the light.
What's on Hey, Shani. It's on Temple Street and the Lodge. The one in Detroit.
They've been around a long time.
So I can take the Q. I can take the Q to the Masonic Lodge.
Ooh, gemstone. If you could supply that, that would be lovely.
So that's them LARPing, allegedly, Freemasons, which led us into the Masonic Temple in Detroit, which is the world's largest, which led me into I need to take a field trip, which led me into what is the occult, which led me into the occult is evil, which I mean, this is just I'm more likely to start my own cult rather than to join a cult. I'm more of the leader type, so I'm not hell-bent on joining other people's things. So, yeah, rabbit meat hole.
And exactly, yeah, occult just means secret. It doesn't necessarily mean evil. But yeah, that picture Gemstone is talking about, that sounds very, very interesting. Picture of Neil Armstrong and his buddy standing on the moon with their helmets off, holding up the apron of the Council of 33.
Yeah. Huh. Not gonna lie, I'd love to have my own religion just for the tax write-off. Shit.
Well, yeah.
Like, we
That
gotta think of this
alone.
practically. Fuck. Now I'm gonna have to drive downtown. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
I think it's a very fine line, Comer, between what's a cult and what's a religion. A very fine line.
Can we agree that this Mason shit is a cult?
I can do that, yeah.
All right, good. Shit. All right, so I'm gonna fuck up our whole show flow. We're gonna do Masons next week if you're cool with that.
Sure. Mandy, we will cover Waco. Don't you worry, hon.
You only need 1,000 members for a tax op? Shit.
Oh.
No, I'm gonna go down a super rabbit hole with this, and I'll go down. Especially if we do it next week, then I'll go down and take a look at this building before next week, and have actual footage from it. So
that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Did you know Amish have religious exclusion numbers? The Amish are aliens, but that's a different topic.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say odd, and that's why I nodded. But alien,
No.
that's a new one.
they have the fucking elongated heads. They make great donuts, but elongated heads. Yeah. Having Davidian flashbacks. What the shit does that mean?
Branch Davidian. That was the group. They had broken off from the Seventh-day Adventists and become the Branch Davidians, and that's what the Waco Church called themselves. They were Branch Davidians.
I try so hard to not get involved with this deep conspiracy shit because then my head hurts and I want to figure it out. And then we're right here. We're right here. We're here.
And then we get back to, and it just keeps this hole that you're going to fall down. Just as you know, a lot of the Mystery Babylon will help give the history of this.
Okay.
So
that's an Amish donut. That's like a regular size fucking paper plate, and those are $1 up north. Wow, they're $1 on Saturdays, and they're so good. They're the Amish donuts. It's good stuff.
Then they became the Branch Covidians.
All right. So Rabbit found his hole, and now he's going
That's
downtown.
a beautiful looking building.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's designed by architect George Mason. U.S. National Register of Historic Places, built in 1922 in Detroit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go play with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, but I think that wraps up yet another
Yeah, I
mindfucked
think we've done
episode.
good.
We started with Kennedy, and now we're on Masons. So,
Yep. And there's
That's
yeah,
it.
there's all sorts of extra stuff. One thing that I really wanted to cover about the Bill Cooper JFK, I can't find the video anywhere. So we're gonna go spend some time searching the dregs of the
Okay.
internet. Hopefully we can find it.
it's somewhere. You just got to figure it out because they
Yeah,
try and hide
yeah.
shit. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, we'll reapproach this probably next week. We'll try and flush out the Freemasons thing because now I'm intrigued. And we'll try and figure out where the hell that video is and maybe touch back on this since we spent half the episode playing with the Masons.
Yes.
But so that's going to be another one for us. Digger, as always, I love doing this. Thank you so very much for bringing
Thank
it.
you. Yeah,
And,
I'm enjoying the heck out of this.
Let's take a field trip to the temple. I could probably just live stream it. I don't know when it will be, but I'll have to see. But yeah, I could keep an eye out. I may just live stream from there. So
Bobby's right. We did also spend time talking about cat pee. So there you go. It's a very well-rounded event regarding JFK.
So, and just in reality, Kennedy was such an eye opener that people outside of the office of the president had enough power to make change.
Yep.
Kind of terrifying. So,
Yeah.
but with that being said, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll probably do something. I don't know yet. Thursday news, Friday game night, Saturday Science Saturday. Brian's topic, he gets to pick since I killed him on Lightspeed. And then Sunday we'll get back into History Detroit. So that's what we got coming up. I hope to see everybody 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And
sorry, our chat rocks.
I know they're pretty great. What do we have to do to get to taste the mint flavored pickle? Because you got to let people touch it, or it just wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, everyone would have to be able to touch it, but only the toppest, like the 33rd degree of his cult, would be able to taste it.
Well, I better be the 33rd degree then, Bob. Just saying. But,
you're not even supposed to know about it.
well, I do know about it. So. All right, y'all.
Love you all.
Have a good night, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.